Plants are sessile organisms. Rooted in place, they cannot flee from predators or physically fight back against consumption. To survive, they rely on biochemical warfare. Over millions of years, they have evolved secondary metabolites, complex alkaloids, terpenes, and glycosides, designed specifically to deter herbivores through toxicity. The human physiological response to these compounds is an evolutionary coincidence. Our neural receptors and metabolic enzymes happen to structurally align with the exact molecules that plants synthesized for their own ecological survival. This structural alignment creates a potent dualism. At a precise, controlled dose, these chemicals can act as life-saving medicine. At a higher concentration, they function as lethal toxins. This isn't a new discovery. Ancient civilizations documented these properties through rigorous, multi-generational observation, distinguishing between sustenance, medicine, and poison. Early practitioners used this knowledge to treat everything from severe respiratory distress to psychiatric conditions, relying on the plant's local, natural context to guide its administration. However, the immense physiological power of these organisms eventually forced modern governments to step in. Today, some of history's most revered medicinal plants are found on botanical blacklists, subject to strict legal prohibitions. These blacklists reflect a harsh reality. The same biochemical mechanisms that make a plant a miraculous cure are precisely what make it a significant biological risk. For centuries, botanical medicine was holistic. Potent plants were administered as whole plant preparations, guided by indigenous stewardship and oral traditions that functioned as a form of peer-reviewed science. This paradigm shifted during the 19th and 20th centuries. Scientists began to move away from the cultural and ecological context of the plant, seeking instead to extract and standardize its raw chemistry. The objective was isolation, separating chemical constituents through advanced chromatography until a single pure crystalline molecule was identified as the source of the therapeutic effect. This approach led to major medical breakthroughs. By 1952, researchers isolated reserpine from Rauwolfia serpentina, creating one of the first effective drugs to chemically manage life-threatening hypertension. But isolating these compounds removed the plant's natural buffering agents, the complex matrix of secondary metabolites that originally modulated the drug's activity in the body. By stripping the molecule from its botanical context, science created a form of extreme potency. This transition heightens the risk of systemic adverse effects, as the concentrated chemicals act on human physiology without the moderating influence of the whole plant. In the modern commercial era, these potent botanical extracts are sold as dietary supplements, frequently reaching consumers outside of any traditional medical supervision. Ephedra sinica is a primary example. Historically used in supervised, short-term doses for respiratory relief, its isolated alkaloids were eventually marketed in high-dose formats for rapid weight loss and energy enhancement. The biochemical result was devastating. Ephedrine acts as a potent agonist of alpha and beta adrenergic receptors. By binding to these sites, it prevents the reuptake of norepinephrine, forcing the body into a state of intense sympathetic stimulation. This unrelenting activation of the nervous system can lead to severe hypertension, arrhythmias, and strokes. In the late 1990s, this unsupervised consumption resulted in thousands of adverse event reports and fatalities. The U.S. legal response was reactionary. It took years of documented injuries and fatalities before federal bans were finally enacted to remove ephedrine alkaloids from the supplement market. Other regions, like the European Union, now use preemptive laws. They issue sweeping bans on any botanical that demonstrates genotoxic or carcinogenic properties in laboratory testing, prioritizing public safety over commercial precedent. Botanical blacklists are not arbitrary restrictions. They are legal firewalls designed to prevent the catastrophic toxicological fallout that occurs when nature's defense chemicals are used unrestrained. There is a dark side to pharmaceutical validation. When modern science confirms a natural cure, the resulting commercial demand can place an unbearable burden on the forest ecosystem. This often leads to massive overharvesting and habitat loss, as the search for raw biomass outpaces the plant's ability to regenerate in the wild. The Pacific yew tree was nearly driven to extinction to supply the cancer drug Taxol. Because the extraction process required stripping the bark, effectively killing the tree, the species faced total ecological collapse before sustainable synthetic alternatives were developed. Without strict conservation and ethical harvesting, our search for botanical medicine risks destroying the very biodiversity that holds the potential for future cures. Modern pharmacognosy is now moving beyond simple extraction, revolutionizing how we interact with medicinal flora. Scientists are integrating advanced computational multi-omics with deep respect for indigenous ecological knowledge. This approach values the complex synergies of the whole plant rather than just isolated molecules. AI and molecular docking simulations now allow us to predict how plant compounds will interact with human diseases. This enables researchers to identify new treatments without needing to harvest or destroy vulnerable wild populations for initial testing. This ethical, high-tech pipeline ensures that the raw power of botanical chemistry is delivered safely to patients, while preserving the genetic diversity of our ecosystems. Navigating the thin line between medicine and poison requires more than just chemistry. It requires a profound respect for the biological complexity that plants evolved over hundreds of millions of years. Plants do not heal out of benevolence. They survive through chemical warfare. Respecting that power is the only way to ensure their future and our own.